This will be the third visit of Honorable Prime Minister to Brazil. The visit will take place in times of booming relations, bilateral relations. The focus will be to take stock of our strategic partnership. We have a very rich agenda when it comes to the bilateral relations these days with India. G20 can deliver to the citizen, fighting hunger, poverty, fighting climate change. This will be the third visit of Honorable Prime Minister to Brazil, and at this time the visit will take place in times of booming relations, bilateral relations between Brazil and India. Just to give you one figure, in 15 months we had 46 missions from Brazil coming to India. Business missions, science and technology missions, and most of them led by high-level officials. So I think the numbers speak for themselves, right?
So
Yeah.
Prime Minister would be there for the G20 summit. What would be Brazil's priority for this year's summit?
Yes, just to mention that of course there's going to be at the sidelines of the summit a bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Lula. But our priorities basically are three. The first is to focus on the combating hunger and poverty. This is why we have launched, of course, together with all other G20 members, we have launched a task force against hunger and poverty. The second priority is fighting climate change. We also have launched a task force to fight climate change, to mobilize financing, for example, to fight climate change. And the third is reform of global governance institutions. So these three priorities, they actually build on the really stunning results of the G20, your G20 presidency.
So you mentioned that there would be a bilateral between Prime Minister Modi and Brazilian President. What would be the focus and topics of the discussion, and any major announcement that we can expect?
I'm not anticipating, I think, any major announcement. Perhaps we will all be surprised by some announcement, but I don't know. But I think the focus will be to take stock of our strategic partnership, which has gained more content, more technological and more economic content, focusing on basically three pillars, which is food security, agriculture, energy, of course, including bioenergy, biofuels, and defense. So we have, I think we have a very rich agenda when it comes to the bilateral relations these days with India.
So this would be the first time that African Union would take its part.
Yes.
We know that it was inducted as a
Yes.
member last year when it was hosted by G20 summit in India. It was New Delhi that inducted him in African Union as a member. How do you see that, and how significant is the inclusion of African Union in this grouping?
Well, this is, I would list as one of the top three incredible results of your presidency. You have added, you have boosted the group legitimacy, because when you add 55 countries to a group, it makes a lot of difference. And Brazil, on top of that, has invited Angola, Nigeria, and Egypt to the summit. So we are boosting even more the presence of Africa in this summit.
So what can we expect when it comes to outcome documents of the Brazilian presidency?
Yes. Well, we have already had some very good outcome documents. Let me just mention that we have managed to negotiate 12 ministerial declarations. And among the more concrete results, you know, this idea of connecting the so-called Sherpa track and financial track of the G20 structure has led to the launching of these two task forces I mentioned. And the aim of connecting these two tracks is to transform political decisions into implementation of tangible results on the ground. And this is also one of our priorities, is to show to the citizenry of the world at large that G20 can deliver to the citizen, fighting hunger, poverty, fighting climate change.
So last question.
Right.
We have two ongoing wars, Russia, Ukraine, and West Asia conflict. How much do you think this war would be focused? How much would it be discussed, and would it have an impact on the outcomes or the consensus?
Well, as we speak, our Sherpas are negotiating the summit declaration. Of course, this will be on the table. These are very important issues you cannot take off the table. But I think I trust on the Brazilian diplomacy tradition, long tradition of brokering agreements on reaching out to all countries of the world. And so I think that we can claim that we have some capacity of brokerage of agreements.